Greetings, family. Oh my goodness, we have some welcomed faces in the house. It's wonderful to see many of you again. It's so great when we can come together for common interests. And I'm excited to bring this course forward and happy that all of you could join us, because this is what we're going to be speaking to today, is the power of your happy. Now, we spoke about this in the introduction to the course. This is nothing new. We know we're supposed to be happy. And that's why it was actually September 22nd, I was just waking up, putting on a feels report. And as always, Darren and I stop and go it as we bring in messages. And finally, I was like, I need to get this down. And I started writing. And 13 pages later, it came in so fast, my hand was cramping. But Darren was in a flow. Spirit wanted to take us to the next level of understanding our happy and when to apply it and how to be able to stay in the flow of it so we don't get exhausted, and understanding what is making us exhausted. And so that's why today, family, we are going to be talking about maximum output versus minimum output. We are also, and just one moment here, family, I'm just going to get this set up here. We're going to be talking about how to manage your 3D while seeking 5D. This is a big one. How do you manage 2 dimensions and have peace when they're naturally not supposed to go together? How does that work? So we're going to be breaking that down for you today. We're going to be talking about life-changing moments, how you create these events in your life. You can be a walking miracle if you choose it. We'll be speaking to the power of asking Father for more. This one blew all my feathers back in my wings. And that's what's great about working with this man, is he brings it in. And of course, I have to catch up and process it and let it sink in. And then as I bring it in, the layered wisdoms come in so that I can teach this, so I can understand this. And you too, family, are about to experience the same. So allow Spirit to take you down these paths and help you understand that you are unique, in that each of us have our own life paths and journeys and lessons we're supposed to learn here. But we all have problems. That's not different. And wait till we talk about our problems. That's going to put a whole new perspective on things for you, loved ones. And throughout this, it is riddled with messages from Spirit. We couldn't believe how much came through. So we're going to talk about happy. We're going to talk about miracles. We're going to talk how you can combine that to make life-changing moments and events in your life. Why? To overcome. That's what we're all trying to get to. Overcoming our 3D. And happy is our deliverance from evil. Happy is your deliverance from evil. And loved ones, this is not going to be easy initially. I'm going to say that again. This will not be easy initially. It's going to require everything you've got at first. But if you prevail past the veil of what we think is impossible, our limitations, and just trust, the rewards are Father's world. Father's world. We know what the reward here is in 3D Earth School. It's the treasure. But the real treasure prize is Father's world. And so that's why we want to take you to something that we looked up. And this is where Spirit took me on a little bit of a trail, but wait till you see this. We're speaking to renewed. Darren was very on the channel of renewed and what that means to be renewed. I had to go look it up, see what it means. And then we went to scripture. So look at this. We always start with King James, just like Black's Law, second edition. It says, for all things are your sakes. It says, for which cause we faint not. So you can see how this is very much like the legal law, Shakespeare. You got to take everything, pull it apart, and then put it back together again. So in other words, if we're speaking to things that make you want to pass out, that's how much it has you in turmoil. It says, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. Okay, so we're talking outward is dying, but the inward is made new again. For our light affliction, I absolutely burst out laughing when I heard this. We all have a light affliction, loved ones. Scripture speaks to it. What's an affliction? It's something that causes pain or suffering. So you are in a state of pain and suffering in relation to light. Think about that. How can you have an affliction with light unless you are not of light? But for a moment, Scripture says, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight for glory. Okay, we started with red. Let's break it down. Next one, English Standard Version. It says, so you don't lose heart. Though our outward self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed. For this light momentary affliction is preparing us for an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. Interesting. Let's go to the next one. It breaks it down even more. In the Common English Bible, it says, all things are for your benefit. So you aren't depressed. And your temporary minor problems are producing an eternal stockpile of glory for you that is beyond all comparison. Now, I'm going to start making this a little bit more about you so you can start seeing the bigger picture. The New Century Version, all things are for you, loved ones, so you don't give up. You have small troubles for a while now, but they are helping you gain eternal glory that is much greater than your troubles. Oh, we're not done. Keeps getting better. New Living Translation. Yes, it's all for your benefit that you don't give up because your present troubles are small and they won't last very long. Yet they produce for you a glory that vastly outweighs them and will last forever. So scripture here is speaking to light afflictions, the parts of you that are not in sync with the light. Your problems we're speaking to. Scripture speaks to your troubles. And happy is the glue. So that, as scripture mentioned, you don't give up. You don't get depressed. You don't lose heart or faint. Excellent. Winning. So, what's renewed? Renewed is overcoming, loved ones. Renewed and overcoming is absent 3D, it's absent fear, and it's absent doubt. You can't overcome and have little bits that make you trigger. And if you are not open to the truth, the life, and the way, then how are you to overcome? There's not a lot to learn in happy. There's a lot to learn in pain and suffering, in overcoming. That's where all the goodies and treasures are. How will you learn to let go and detach from your old ways of being? So that's why, loved ones, you have to understand when you are unhappy, when you're in a fire, you are compromised, including your belief of what you think is true. Hear that. Because when you are unhappy, when you are in a fire, your plane is going downhill. So your truth is confused. And you will only be able to speak to your current 3D truths, what you know at that moment. And the more your plane goes down, the less you know, because this starts taking over. You are limited by your limitations, your belief systems, and your 3D spells of what you actually think is your reality. This is when we speak about who's on your plane. No one. It's all in your mind. And your truth is coming from the 3D legal world. Is there any truth there, loved ones? No. And be careful. Your 3D spells, they have more power over you when you're offline. So loved ones, you will have fires. You're going to be tested. And that's why we need to speak to this next part about maximum versus minimum output. Because when you get tested, when Father comes to see what you're made of, it will be at your capacity, your max, your fullness, not at your minimum. Because when you're at your minimum, remember, your tank is empty. You're in first gear. You're not teachable. You can't be an Induit or of service to spirit. You're going down. So this is speaking to full tank versus empty tank, sixth gear versus first gear when it comes to your emotional and your spiritual intelligence. Now, why do we have to turn this up so much? Because fear creates a lazy, where you don't want to deal with it. And this is why we are going to move into how do you manage then? If you want to deal with this, if you want to address your feelings, how do you do that? That's the seeking of 5D. Managing your emotions while seeking greater. Well, first of all, we've spoken to this before, just like in equity, you have to know your position. If you think you're somewhere else, you're just going to spin around in circles. So that's why, when you go to a provincial park or any kind of, they have trails and they have a map and you walk up to the map and it always has that little red dot. You are here. It's a very important part of the map. Remember this. So whenever you are confused, the first thing you need to do is, what is your position? Where are you? But be careful. As soon as you start looking, that means you're putting your head up out of the game and you're searching. You become a beacon to Satan. He will target you. Anyone seeking their location, you're showing signs of life. Satan is going to snuff that at all cost. This is when he pulls out all his bag of tricks, dumps them out, sees what you attach to. So this is why it's so important that we understand this, the space we're going into, to understand that initially it's going to be tough and it's going to be scary as shit. He's made the void so, in the movies, it's frightening. It's what nightmares are made of. That's what's kept us out for so long. Who wants to go into what looks like awfulness and nightmares? He has been successful in making us believe in artificial reality. Artificial reality. He's been able to make us attach to our stories, just like in the Matrix, where we think it's true. He plays with our 3D theater if we let him. And this is when we get lost, loved ones. This is so important. And that's why Spirit said, once you are lost in your 3D reality, the game of life becomes your feeding source. You will then attach and protect your source at all cost to avoid having feelings of not being good enough and that your life is out of control. Then you will protect that source, but to do so, you must live in a world of fear, doubt, and misery. Whose domain is that, loved ones? And the craziest part is, it's not even there. It's not even true. You know, and scripture speaks about, the greatest trick is people believing that Satan doesn't exist. Well, I kind of think maybe us believing this whole game is real is pretty up there too. And so let's speak to signs that your 3D reality is your source. You're going to say things such as, well, I just have no choice in the matter. It's just the way things are. This is my reality and there's nothing I can do about it. Or my choices do not allow for any other options. And this is why, loved ones, it's going to take courage to overcome. And why it's easy when it starts coming from the right source. It's complicated, it's yucky, it feels off. You're not right when you're attaching to dysfunctional, toxic sources. When it's right, it flows, it doesn't hurt. It's natural. So how do you do that? Number one, this was actually channeled directly from Darren. Force your shit situations into happy ones. We know when we're in a shitty situation. That is going to be your reminder. Inject happy here. Change these moments into life-changing events because you're about to see and understand and learn how powerful it is when you do. So now you have an obligation to serve Spirit once you know better. And Spirit says, if you choose not to deal with your problems, you will bring one character after another that you will have to manage and deal with until you do. That's when your higher self just keeps throwing balls at you. And then there becomes more and more and more. Why? Because you're meant to drop some. You've got the wrong balls up in the air. And we spoke to this in one of our family meetings about dropping a 5D ball and the results of that. But what's worse is dropping a 5D ball to pick up a 3D one. Careful. Big lightning bolts for that one. Spirit says, the more you choose to ignore your feelings, the more jugglers and clowns you will create. These are your distractions. When you speak about the plane, they know we're speaking about the plane. I relate everything to the plane. They show me the plane all the time. And here's the thing, many of us don't deal with our problems and our feelings because we're fearful. And that makes us spiritually and emotionally lazy. It's not a word we hear too often, is it? Unless you're a teenager. But this now applies to everyone who's not dealing with their problems. You're being lazy. That's what you're here to do. So if you're not doing it, you're wasting time. It's not necessary. Yes, everything is serving your best and highest good. But Spirit also says, is it necessary? Or are you blocking your progress? And family, it's so much easier than we think, but we hold on to the idea that it's so much harder. So what else can we do? Well, Spirit says, speak the truth and quickly, without thinking and without fear of outcome. This is how you manage 3D with 5D. Speak the truth and quickly, without thinking and without fear of outcome. However, please read number 4. Your truth knows So only speak once you have that wisdom. Till then, sit down, shut up, and give attention. You have no right to speak if you don't know truth, if you don't know 5D, if spirit is not guiding you. You're at a space of learning, so learn. Speak your truth quickly once you know, because there will be no fear of the outcome. You won't worry what people think, how they're going to take it, if you're going to hurt their feelings. Because loved ones, we need to get over hurting one another's feelings and fast. This is why we've been very blunt about it. We're not here to save you from your feelings. We've held that bar because we need you to understand it's not about us. It's about us against Satan. He's the one we're trying to defeat. And we're getting all caught up in everybody's feelings, when if we just unify, we can take him down. This was a big message. Hear this one. We are only here to serve Creator. And he wants us to be happy. So Spirit said, go and inject happy into all of your shitty situations. By the way, Spirit does say shit, does you know? So get over it. That's how you overcome a fear. You deal with it. And then you change it. This is the alchemizing of it. And Spirit was highlighting deal. Deal with it. Well, when does a deal ever happen? When there isn't some kind of an exchange. Movement. We know deeds mean done deal. Make it so. Don't settle. So, our next one, number 4, exchange every moment with your best, your max. Be your greatest happy. And are you ready for this? And then ask Spirit for more. Ask for more problems. Ask for more troubles. Ask for more things that are going to help you to overcome. Why? Because you are saying to Spirit, I am so happy. I want to use myself, my meat suit, my conduit, as a way to share it with others. I want to be of service in this 3D world and give happy forward. You're saying you want to go to work super excited because today you're going to make a difference. You got happy on board to be able to inject everywhere you go because you have a duty to it. You have access to it. You can get as much of it as you want. You can change this world, loved ones. You can have so much joy in you that Spirit will use you to serve. You want to serve Spirit? Give yourself to them. It's a very powerful experience. I remember when I did, and they tested me to see if I was ready. And it was a 4-month test of pain and a lot of torture to overcome, to be able to show Spirit that we're beyond the flesh. That as long as that fire burns inside of you, that's what matters. That's what we need renewed, not this. This is going to come and go quicker than you think. And Spirit says, when you ask to be able to help and use your body and your way of being as a means to bring more light and love and kindness and peace and all the happy into the world, Spirit says, very good. And so it is. Ask and you shall receive. Here's the thing. When you set your intent and your desire to give more and spread more happy into the world, the more you share, the more happy you get. Perfect. How great is that? So hear this. The degree to which a person can grow is directly proportional to the amount of truth they can accept about themselves without running away This is the mirror we speak of. Some people love the mirror. They want 360s. They love the burn. They love their fires. This is where we're trying to get you to. But sometimes we get those mirrors and we're like, I don't like that. I don't like how that makes me feel. You just piss me off. And I don't even know why. Look out for that one. When you get angry and you actually go, why am I angry? And you go, I don't know. That's a little one going ding, ding. So now you're starting to see how this all comes together. And so if you don't want to be happy, or if you don't want to give forward, you are being spiritually and emotionally lazy. Instead, loved ones, engage your children with a level of happy that you've never done before. And if you don't, that is you being lazy. Inject your marriage with a level of happy that you've never done before. And if you don't, that is you being lazy. Apply happy to every situation, especially the shitty ones. And if you don't, you are being emotionally and spiritually lazy. When you know better, you must do better. This is a very important message. And Spirit said, if you don't go into every situation at your max, you are not serving Creator. Think about that. Are you serving Creator coming in half-assed? Never mind with a dirty or empty cup. You're serving something else. Your 3D constructs, which Spirit said are prisons for your mind and your soul. So here's the thing. Sometimes the chains that prevent us from being free are more mental than physical. Loved ones, this is one big mind game. And so let's get back to being lazy. Your energetic imprint needs to be seen for what it is. So what is it? It's a specific moment in time that gives you an opportunity to invest you. So if you're investing, do you only want to give part of yourself or all of it? In every moment, you can choose to sprinkle, to transact good, happy, joy, life. You have the ability, Spirit is saying, to actually inject life into a dead world. You know how. That comes with a duty to serve. Guess what? When happiness is there, when you're plugged into that channel, when you're serving Spirit that way, fear, boo! You can't be happy and fearful. Doesn't work. It's impossible. Can't happen. You cannot be happy and have fear. So we need to stop being lazy, decide what we want, and then show up and do it. And an Olympian can be lazy, loved ones. These are not the works that Spirit is looking for, is how good you are at doing this 3D world. It's not your 9 to 5. It's not your family unit. It's not even your social life. This is how you blend all of that together and then ask for more. When you're peaked, bring it. More, please. More, please. This is what we want you to start saying to Father, to the universe. Every time you get pissed off, every time you go into a shitty situation, more. Yes, I love it. Give it to me. Because, loved ones, there is no reason or excuse for anyone to be unhappy. There is an army of special force operators in the background that are doing their best to protect you. Who? Father, Spirit, galactics, equity masters, angels, divergence, and light workers. We've done all the heavy lifting for you. They have. In combination, it's all the heavy part's been done. The paperwork's been done. We've spoken to this. Now we just need to do your you have to do your happiest. That's what we need you to do right now. Do happy. You don't have to do paperwork, so do happy. Which one would you prefer to do? Pick. You want to do paperwork or you want to do happy? And family, there are so many that are still clearing the way for you to show you more of the way. But as you know, it is a universal law that we cannot take that step for you. We can't even push you. We talk about throwing you out of the nest, but you're on a bit of a tether. Spirit only lets us throw you so far. So here's the thing about choosing happy. Happy grows wings. It quickly enhances your emotional and your spiritual intelligence. And when you're happy, you start running on your own. And when you're not running, you'll be walking. And when you're not walking, you will be crawling. And the question is, if you're not crawling, where are you? So you better at least be crawling. So let's go into a little summary on how do you manage your 3D world while seeking 5D? Well, number one, charge every moment with your best, be it your max, your highest output, your brightest. Have little to no light affliction. Try that. Set that as your goal. What will the results be? This one, I was like, oh, you're going to be, Darren's like, charity. That's the result of being at your best. Charity. Why? Because charity automatically happens. You're going to be giving out so much energy that by universal law, you have to receive more. In equity, it's fourfold. For all the happy squirts you put out there, you're going to get 4 yourself. Think of that. For every happy shot, you get 4 shots back. For every sprinkle, you get 4 sprinkles. That's kind of a good deal. If that's equity, can you imagine what Father's world rewards? Darren will be speaking to that in a moment, especially when it came to Job. So, family, once we get this is so easy. It's about staying in a live feed from Father. Ooh. See, I don't even have that on my notes. A live feed from Father. That's what happens. That's why we keep making you go to your intent over and over and over again. Because once you guys leave, you just peace out. And it's not to your next meditation. Father's trying to say, stay in your intent. Stay in my flow. Now, what are the rewards that you're going to gain for asking Father for more? Well, it's pretty big. Because you're going to be asking Father for more ways to be happy, more ways to spread joy, to serve him. You're going to be asking for more ways to max out joy in your life so you can give it away. And like we said, Father says, your wishes for giving forward are granted. Father will always say yes to this. So what's your reward? The more you do that, the bigger your conduit, your induit becomes. It has to. You're asking for more flow. So what has to happen? This has to get bigger. It's going to intensify. And then the more you ask for, the more you will want to give away. Your cup is overflowing. You're bursting at the seams with happy. What a problem. Amazing. You will have direct access to Father's happy line and become a live feed for spirit to access. Wow. A live feed for spirit to access. That's serving Creator. is being in such a state that spirit can always come in and access you to divert you to a space that needs more love, peace, and kindness. Wow. How powerful is that? What are the rewards for that, loved ones? Because you never get tired from giving happy forward. Another universal law. You will never get tired of giving happy forward. So why do we get tired? Why do we all of a sudden come out of it and get grumpy? Spirit says you will only get tired by reattaching to your 3D feeding sources. It's that simple. That's the only way. He doesn't make you tired. Do you ever feel tired in a meditation? Other than, relaxed and tired, two different things. But as far as it rejuvenates you. It actually, you're calmer because your vibration raised. That's the best part. And this is how we do it, family. Spirit says, give happy, get happy. Give happy. Now, did it say, okay, Father, give me your happy first, and then I'll give it away? Oh, isn't that easy? No, Spirit says, give happy first, then you get happy. And Spirit said, this is a double dip. Because not only does the universe give you more light codes of joy and happy, but the more happy you give away, the happier you become, and the more light codes you get. That kind of sounds like all parties winning right there. And the proof is in the works. We know this. So now we're going to talk to some life-changing moments. Ask yourself, have you had a life-changing moment yet? And if yes, we'd like you to describe it. If you're not sure, you will know this way. It's something huge that you overcame. There's a story that you can tell. And when it hits you, you believe. Spirits and its place in your life is no longer in question. And then you will do anything to serve and protect that source. And first, source becomes your source, and that's what protects you now. And once you trust source, source will protect your children, protect your work, protect your partner. It will put food on the table. It will keep you warm and dry. Fears don't do that, loved ones. They don't do that. So, to life-changing moments, Spirit said, when the light hits you or sees you, so Spirit, when Spirit sees you, you're showing signs of life, you're coming out of the clouds. Spirit said, you will have abundance. And then when you see the light, then you will trust it. Spirit is looking for those who've overcome their social problems and distractions, who are rising above their problems and their troubles, their 3D story, their make-believe excuses for not being able to have or be more, and create life-changing moments. And so how do you create life-changing moments? Well, Spirit said, and this one blew my wings back too. When you stop caring. When you stop caring, you stop fearing. Now, we are not saying you shouldn't care for people or things, but be mindful of, ooh, my right ear's squealing here. Wow. We have to be mindful, really mindful of this one because my right ear is still squealing. Be mindful of who and what you care about. Number 2, be mindful that your care output is not more than your self-care input. What happens when you give more than you have? Oh, lightning bolts, right? This is when a lot of women experience their breast cancers. If you continually give more than you get, there's it dies. It dies. And number 3, the people and things that you are afraid to lose. Be mindful of the things you care so much about that you're afraid to lose. Those are your attachments. We're not saying you can't love your children, but we're saying when you get to a place of understanding how this plane works, you won't be overly attached. And that's the key. Because family caring requires an attachment between parties. And you're going to notice I don't use too many words that start with con, but a constant flow of energetic transactions and deposits. So anything you care about, you're attached to, and it requires feeding. It's constantly back and forth. It's always in play. It never rests, which means you start in the morning, you've given an energetic transaction out already. So make sure the cost is worth it. That's all we're saying. Is that transaction serving you? Why? Because caring costs you. Caring costs you. We're not talking about love. We're talking about caring. It's different. Now, we have a wonderful biblical character who went through quite a bit of this as far as getting to a place where he stopped caring. So give us a moment. I'm going to go get someone. And Sister Joanne, can you please put up the document? And brothers and sisters, we will have this document dropped in the chat for you to be able to view here. So just one moment, please. Wow. Great. Ready?
Jody, did you want me to screen share it or just put the link?
Yes, please. That would be great.
Screen share?
Okay. Pardon me?
You want me to screen share?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jeanette, he's in the background doing your paperwork right now. I'm just pulling him away for a little minute because when we were talking about Job, I lost him till 1 o'clock in the morning last night. As he's just with this highlighter, I think he got to chapter 47. But there was a reason for it.
Yeah, there's a really interesting story here. Scripture talks about specifically when we're talking about this character named Job. This is a guy who had everything. These are some of the scriptures that we'll talk about in a second. But here's the Coles Notes version of it real quick. This guy had everything. He was the wealthiest, richest man of the East. Well, that's a big geographical region back in the day. So then God, Father, says to Satan and other sons of God, interestingly enough, hey, this is the up and coming guy. Satan, what do you think? You won't be able to tempt him. And Satan's like, oh yeah, no problem. I'll get him to turn on you and lie to your face or criticize you or not believe in you or, you know, all those types of things. And God's like, oh yeah, okay, watch. And he goes and does something to Job, gives Job some type of affliction. And these were life-changing events for him. He lost all his fame and fortune. He then goes on and he's tested again, and now he gets covered in boils and sores head to toe, like the torment that this man was suffering. And by this time, Satan had come along now and said, oh yeah, no, watch, we'll test him here this time. Test his body, make him suffer pain, and watch, he'll crumble and he will curse you to your face. And God's like, no, my up and coming star will not do that. So God, now he punishes him and torments him with all this stuff. By the third trial, Job caves in. He couldn't do it. He couldn't pass the test. He cursed God. And in the King James Bible, I was reading the verses of how Job curses himself. And there was like, I don't know, 20 curses that are just off the hook in terms of depth, in terms of impact, in terms of severeness. After about the fourth one, I was just like, holy. And I look and there's a whole bunch. Anyway, it was. So then he's lost everything. The guy's in a lot of pain. He's on the death's door. He's in this weird position now where he kind of doesn't care anymore. He's like, you know what, just take me then, end my affliction, or judge me again, get me back to being righteous. He got caught in this little position where these several other witnesses or other spiritual elders come and they visit Job, and they actually sat down with this guy for a week and didn't say a word. They were just in awe as to the suffering that this man was going through. And then after the week goes by, they start talking, and they do a lot of talking, but it's a lot of whether you're fit or whether you're capable to go through these tests. This is ultimately what this was all about. And after a while, Job starts to realize, hey, my witnesses are not actually doing a good job. They're not actually trying to help me. They're not trying to lift my spirits. They're not trying to embrace me. They're not doing anything to really help. And as a matter of fact, at the end of this story, Job is kind of saved. He's kind of redeemed, because at the bottom of the pit, when he was drowning at the very, very bottom, when things were the worst, he actually prayed for these other gentlemen. He actually expressed love and well-being to these others, even though he was suffering almost a death-like sentence, very similar to Christ while he was on the cross. You know, he was saying, please, Father, forgive them. Don't worry about my ass. Just help them out, because they're actually in worse shape than I am. Those are some pretty powerful statements. And because Job had this selfless, giving, charitable nature at his worst, guess what? God redeems him, says you won't be touched by evil any longer. And as it turns out, Job is now, his wealth is multiplied double than what he already had. He already had the most, and now it got doubled. Why? Because even in the shittiest of the shit, he found enough grace and enough love and enough mercy, even though God wasn't giving him mercy. He was getting slaps and kicks and punches and all of it. But he still found the mercy somewhere to grant love unto others. This is where I'm saying, find the happiness in such a incredibly dark situation, even when it's involving death loved ones. This is going to sound ridiculous, but when a loved family member dies, find the happiness in it. You have to. And here's a good indicator why a lot of people can't find the happiness in it, or why this is an odd situation, why a lot of people grieve and mourn so much after the fact with the passing of a loved one. Why? Because now they start to realize they don't have the opportunity to right wrongs, or they don't have an opportunity now for salvation, forgiveness, for any of these things. And now they're stuck in a loop when they should have maximized their time with that loved one when they had it. Because when that fateful day comes, if you say, hey, you know what? I've been injecting so much happy into that individual for this long, and I've never felt clearer. I've never felt better. I've never felt more uplifted. If that man or woman, child, pet, anything is removed from your life, you're instantly going to know and feel it's meant to be. They're in a better place, and I need mourn this not. It literally switches to a celebration. That is just a transfer of energy. You loved to the best of your ability when you had the chance. See, now that it's too late, now you're all in scramble. Oh my God, what have I done mode? And how supportive, how influential, how positive, how well are you going to present yourself now? How are others going to receive you now? Because now you're at the bottom, you're at that shit pit, you're Job, covered in sores, aching, your bones are burning with pain. When we had a moment to fix the situation beforehand. So let's deal with it, sisters and brothers. Put those happy thoughts, put those happy energies into everything. Everything doesn't mean all of that, except for when my mom's about to pass away. My mom has passed away. My dad, adoptive, mind you, they're still my mom and dad in this earthly world. All my grandparents, all the aunts and uncles, everyone in our family has passed. All of them. I know this feeling very well. And yet I chose to not grieve like most 3Ders do. I found the happiness in all of that, and I was able to move on very quickly. I didn't waste time. Find those happy moments. They're there. You just got to dig a little bit. It may take a little bit of energy to dig it, but once you dug it out, you can't not be in with it. You cannot get rid of it. Again, try yelling or being mad when you're happy. Your body literally can't do it. I've tried, and you literally start breaking out laughing. There are some very interesting little quotes about being happy in that Job scripture. Again, I don't really need to talk about those, but just when we look at that Job scripture on your own accord here, there was a couple blurbs about being happy. Just be happy. Father loves a charitable giver. Father loves a happy, charitable giver. Again, you notice, are you acting charitably when you're got that evil costume on, or when you're actually inflicting pain or suffering or misery into someone with our thoughts? Oh, I wish that person, right? You come up with something horrible. Yeah, careful of what you're spelling, careful of what you're casting out there, because it literally does have an impact. But take a moment before you cast that shitty spell, spin it. So yeah, you just did me an incredible wrong, but I pray for you. I wish you nothing but love, respect, wisdom, and all the good things. See how you can instantly cleanse situations? See how you can walk away from anything with a happy state of mind? When you feel happy, that's when we're overcoming. You'll notice we don't overcome when we're not happy. When you're sad and miserable and depressed for whatever the hell reason it is, you don't overcome anything until when? Some changing event comes along and changes the events. I'm suggesting that needs to be you. You take that event you grab it and you clap happiness into this, you hug happiness into the situation, you make it the best you can. That's what Spirit and Father are actually looking for. They're looking for, can he or she deal with the shit when it's shitty? And do they still have what it takes to be one of Father's chosen ones? Satan and other sons of men, again, you can read in that little scripture in the verses with Job, sons of Father, sons of God, and Satan literally got together, and they have a little, it's like a trial. These sons of God said, yeah, we're here as witnesses, and we're here as part of this event, and we got this guy down here named Job, and Satan's there. They're all before Father. And here's judgment day for Job, is really all that's going on. And it also says in there that you're going to be judged every moment. That means all the time. So keep that happy button. Don't just hit it and walk away. I'm saying press it down and hold your hand on it. Hold it on. Glue it if you need to. Put something heavy on top of it if you got to go to the bathroom for a minute. Point is keep that energy engaged. Keep that button depressed. Keep it charged. Can you imagine you walk into every life situation and you either discharge good, positive, happy, or negative, shitty, death? Pick. There's not much in between. Pick the good one. Trust me, just invest in that one a little bit. When you find yourself being challenged or a little trial, judgment, take a moment, catch yourself, And again, we've actually had loved ones that talk to this where they've said, yes, I've actually caught myself. The old me would have spiraled and went, but I stopped. I grounded, I breathed, I took control. While we're taking control, let's just not forget to throw a little happy on there. Work with that. It's actually smaller than a mustard seed, but this is the stuff that actually moves the mountains. When spirit sees you being happy, no matter what the test, they know you cannot be swayed. They know you can't be, oh, look, we can change his mind with a little influence. Oh, look, we throw a little bit of drugs, sex, alcohol, or some other temptation his way. Look, he or she will instantly fold. They'll instantly collapse because of their addictions. We want to be on top of those addictions. We want to overcome these things so that when we're judged, when we're called to stand up, Father wants us to do our best, represent him, showing him what we're made of. Not show up at your minimum. If we're a minimum type individual, equity is probably going to need to pass on you for just a little while until you get your wings and your altitude for your plane a little higher. Simple timing. And again, don't be thinking, well, that can hurt my feelings a little bit. Some of our loved ones have been on this path for months. 5 months, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, a year. That's a relatively short time frame to take an old 3D way of life, embrace this whole new renewed in spirit. Equity, scripture, and now we just got to realize what the legal system really is. Put all this together, be like Job, expect to be like Job, expect to feel some pain, expect to feel some tests, expect to feel some tribulations. But why is that happening? Because here's your opportunity to overcome. If you don't overcome, you're actually wasting your time. Every test, aim to overcome. Okay, buddy, we're going to take a break for just a few minutes. Thanks, everybody.
Always good when we can get a little Darren download. Hey, excellent. So there's a little added bit to this. And we wanted to speak to the Job story because it's a beautiful Bible book. There's lots of maxims in there, which we always love as well. And it speaks to iniquity as well and persons. So if you want to have a good read, jump in that one. So loved ones, we're talking about your becoming story. Life-changing moments are your becoming story. Because everyone has the same fear stories. It's why no one cares about yours. I want to say that again. Everyone has the same fear stories. It's why no one cares about yours. It's why people get their feelings hurt so often, because everyone is energetically starving and wanting others to care about their unique problems. When in reality, they're all the same overcoming stories. Everyone's trying to receive energetic transactions and hits. It's just about what source are you tapping into? So let's move on to some more 3D reality. Here's some 3D truths, also known as. People would rather feed dysfunctionally and consume the energy of the dead than deal with their feelings and problems. I know, owie, right? Hear that. Those lost in their 3D problems would rather feed deficiently. So that's multiple sources, whatever that is, whatever gets you off, or consume the energy of the dead. Those that already they're offline. Then deal with how they feel. Family, this is toxic for all parties involved. There's no true happiness in that world. But guess who does love that situation? Satan. He loves that. Yes, feed dysfunctionally. Yes, fill up on nothing. Starve each other. Take everything you can from one another. It's all you've got. That's why we always are, there's not enough. There's not enough. So here's the question. If it's so easy to step into any situation and make a life-changing event, what's the problem? Here's the problem. Too many of us are having minimal days. Too many of us are having minimal days. And Spirit says, like Darren said, next. You're not. Well, Spirit says, because you are showing no signs of life. You are average. And you're acting like your life is a number. Oh, oh, hear that. That's why I was typing it. I was like, oh, Spirit, you're coming in hot with this one. Because hear that. If you are feeding dysfunctionally, you are not showing signs of life, you are average. That's going to trigger some of you. You're average. You're okay. You're lukewarm. You almost have a pulse. And you're acting like your life is a number. If you're acting like your life is a number, you're caught up in your story. Simple. Spirit goes, you're lost. Your plane is still in a tailspin. You have not recovered, nor have you overcome. So actually, I'm just going to go back here for a moment. Spirit said another thing. They said, this is why people will often have feelings come up around not being worthy or entitled for something. Because you're not. I'm going to say that again. Spirit said, this is why people often have feelings come up around not being worthy or entitled to something. Because you're not. Deep down, you know that you are not doing enough, nor are you happy enough to deserve what you want. Think about that. This is an energy game, family. So if you're disturbed that you're not getting something, it's because you haven't attained it yet. Because when you know, you get. And Satan specializes in draining your life force. He has created a system that is designed to deplete. And it encourages you to ignore any feelings that make you uncomfortable. Put your blinders on. Just watch a movie. Go see what's going on Facebook. Avoid dealing with any problems that you'd rather forget. Oh, that makes me uncomfortable. Delete. The system recommends 3D numb and dumb. What can we prescribe for you? And the more that we ignore and try and numb and dumb, the worse our empty feels. And the system goes, we have a cure for that. Repeat numb and dumb, but double the dose. So this is why Darren spoke a little bit to this. When you die, people cry and beg for you to come back. But sometimes when you're here, they don't even show they care about you. This is why it sometimes feels like no one gives a shit about you. Because they don't. Newsflash, people. And most can't, even if they wanted to. Why is that? Because no one has anything left to give. You can't give what you don't have. So to say, oh, I would care, not if you have an empty cup. Not if it's full of 40% sludge. What are you giving? You're just paying forward your shit. No thanks. Keep it. This is what we're talking about. Everyone is, do you remember that vision I spoke about where in 4D, they're trying to ascend, but they're all like zombies and their eyes are glazed over. That happens when your plane is compromised. You're caught up in your storms, your mind storms, your 3D theaters. And in in 3D, death is expected. You probably heard this one. It's a 3D maxim. The game of life says the only two things that are certain in life are taxes and death, right? Have we heard this? That's called a 3D minimum. It ain't no 3D maximum. It's a 3D minimum. That's a confine. That suggests you have no control over death and taxes. Do you have control over taxes and death, family? Yes or no? So we just blew that out of the water. The two most certain things of this world don't exist anymore. Divergence is suggesting through spirit, these things are not certain. And you do have direct control over death and taxes. It's the complete opposite. It's the difference between hot and cold, but choose, family. Lukewarm is 3D. So if you're doing drips of happy, you're going to stay in 3D forever. Spirit's not looking for drips. They're looking for waterfalls. So what do you believe? What do you want, family? And that's why the proof of your choice is in your happiness. How do you know if you're making good choices? You're happy. If you're happy, woo, you made a good choice. If you're sad, you made a minimum choice. We're not saying you made a wrong one. We're just saying you made a minimum one. And you missed an opportunity to invest your maximum. Family, peace, love, kindness. The moment you do this, spirit will charge you. And now discharge it and give it forward. There's a very electrical element that's at play with this. Charge, discharge. It's a duty cycle. Everything has a duty cycle. And if we're like batteries and we're charging, what are you investing your life charge on? Because remember, with a battery, there's 3 stages. There's the charge, discharge, and then there's when your battery's empty. So what do you do when you're out of happy? What source do you go to? Are you going to sleep fearful? Are you consumed by your 3D bills in life? Is that the energy that you choose to plug into? Or are you choosing spirit? That's where it starts, without lazy, with confidence, no fear. That's why there's no excuse, loved ones, not to be happy. So we're going to move now into life-changing events. Okay, you want to know how to do this? Well, Spirit says, as long as you are ascending, you are life-changing. As long as you're ascending, you're life-changing. And you're actually living it. You're being it. And when you feel you're not ascending, you're not. That feeling, you're like, oh, I don't know, I'm behind. You are. Your body knows. When you're feeling off track, you are. When you're not feeling good, you're sad, you are. Now just know and connect that to your plane. I'm going downhill. Whew, what am I going to do? Am I going to intensify this roller coaster? Am I going to just absolutely put into a nosedive and just add a little extra spin onto it? Throw my mind in the mix? Oh, yeah. No. What do? You turn the remember? Wee. Turn it into the we. Find the humor in everything. Darren spoke to finding the humor in death. When you can find the humor in death, loved ones, you are 80% of figuring this game out. Darren actually spoke to that when we were first channeling us in, is finding the humor in losing a child. Let's not skip over that. That's a sensitive one. When you can find the humor, and this is not a disrespectful humor. This is the humor of surrender, the understanding of what is, how it works. Okay, I chose this. Wow, I must have greatness in store for me. A soul gave up its life so I could learn some valuable things, so I can fill a void somewhere where the world needs more love, kindness, and peace. All right, spirit. All right, little one. Let's do this. That's when you don't attach to the story here. Because spirit says you're either on or off. And the moment you are not happy, the moment you attach, you're offline. And if you're offline, you're not connected to Father. You are spiritually flatlining. You are lukewarm. You are in 3D fully. You ain't 3.25. You are in 3. And spirit says you're only ascending when you're happy. Remember this. Your plane's only going up if you're happy. And that's why being lukewarm, average, mediocre, investing drips of happy, or less than 100% of you is offline. It's not good enough. Because if you're offline, you're not growing, you're not learning, you're falling. When you're offline, which means you're not happy, you're not learning, you're not growing, you're falling. And be very careful, loved ones. Be careful what you think your truth and your reality is in these moments. Your 3D, and this is what I call 3D now. It's another word for your mind. Be careful of your mind. It will often misguide you and give you false reads of what is. You can't trust yourself when you're free falling. What is truth when you're in 3D? When you're a mess, when you're lost, you don't know. The path is not there. You can't hear spirit. You don't know what to do. You're confused. Sit down. Shut up. You're meant to listen. Don't move until you know what to do. So, spirit comes through big time on this. They said, you are not ascending unless you are making choices to become more than. And to do it maxed out. Always giving forward your best while being special. Does that sound average? Above average. And into it's for happy as you do. I love how spirit worked with me because I couldn't put conduits. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And they're like, okay. So we've upgraded this. So there's little to no con words. Spirit also said, imagine with your real eyes. This is all of them. Souls wanting to come together to work at the same time to cause world-changing events. Sound familiar, loved ones? Well, guess what? The world-changing events happen through your life-changing ones. They can happen no other way. We can't change the world until you change your world. We're limited to changing the world by how much you change yours. Do you see why we need to find a certain grade? Because the more confined your world is, we can't work with that. The energy starts, it's going to come from you. And when you get charged, loved ones, that's when you're going to learn where to place your energies. That is when you're going to start to ascend. So when you start to learn the charge, discharge, and how to refuel, look out. Like G-force, yeah, that's the quickest way to change your trajectory. It has to. When you are charging and discharging and giving it away, happy will suck you in. And what does that feel like? Well, here's the thing. Well, it's supposed to be happy, but guess what? It has a very forward feeling. Darren actually broke this down so you can understand when you're actually in this flow, because it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable, this happy. You have to understand this is part of the breaking through of the veil. It's a forward feeling. I'm off balance. Things are out of control. It's going to feel like your stomach when it drops in an elevator. That it's kind of butterflies and anxiety all at the same time. It's a free fall, out of control feeling. That's why we talk about when you're like, you're already in the fall. What you're feeling is the falling. So now it's about understanding, okay, I remember Divergence telling me about this feeling. I don't like it very much. And it's not going away. So what do I do? Well, now you know. But here's this. I loved this message from Spirit. They said the G-force is unavoidable if you wish to change your life's flight plan. Okay, so if you're spiraling and going down and you want to change to go up, just like a plane, what happens when it reefs up? What happens to your stomach, loved ones? That's what you're feeling. That's the uncomfortable. But most of us go, that makes my stomach uncomfortable. I'd rather go down. I don't like how I'm feeling. I don't know if I can do this. And they let go. Don't hang on. They said it's an uncomfortable energetic variance that must be experienced in order to change your plane's trajectory. And I was like, I don't know how variance works into this. So what do? We go look it up. Miriam says variance is the state of being in disagreement. So this is your 3D versus your 5D in a fight. Spirit says your state of being, you're happy, is the difference between where you are and where you should be, not where you want to be. I actually had to go back and Spirit, are you sure it's not where they want to be? And they went, oh, no. They said it's so much bigger than what you want it to be. They said most of you are not able to dream that big of yourselves. Okay. So when we understand that the disturbance we feel is relative to how far offline we are, then that's going to be indicators to us of how much we let our vibration drop and how much it takes to get back up to where we're supposed to be. That's why this is about whether or not you are tracking properly for Earth School. Are you at the elevation you're supposed to be at? And if you keep crashing below the clouds and at elevations where your sirens are going off all the time, again, this is for finally Spirit goes, you need to go home. Your higher self goes, I just can't get this together. So huge. I love that when they actually taught me that. And that's because, again, we have been taught to be emotionally lazy, to fear and avoid that variance, that G-force, that shift. If you're a 3.1 and you want to go to 4.3, think about that. Think about what has to happen to your body, your aura, your cells, your space, everything around the ether that you move around within. Everything is affected. So this is why it's much easier to stay unhappy. Get on Father's live drip. Way better. And Satan knew that if we learned how to push past our fears and to trust that eventually it was going to stabilize, eventually it can't stay that way forever. Eventually it goes, and your tummy goes, thank you. Right? We know that, but this part is so intense. And we just have to know, I can do this. I just have to push through. I just have to push through. It's all in your heads. Once we get over this, it's game over. So Spirit said, the game of life is one big mind game. Master your mind, you win the game. Equity will naturally find you. It has to. If you seek perfection, equity will find you. And so how do we push past our fears then when we know we're in these phases? What do? Well, it requires feeling grounded at all times, loved ones. This is nothing new. But anytime you're spiraling, you're not grounded. So we need to remind you, you must go back to source. You have to stay connected to Father at all times. And you apply your decisions. Please remember this. When you need to make a decision in your 3D life, you make it at the moment of charge and discharge. Not when you're empty. You are the strongest and the clearest when you are full or when you're in the state of giving. Not when you're empty. And then put everything you have in your battery into what you're doing, all of it. So many of us hold reserves because we're so used to going into the depletion, but we don't have that fear anymore, do we? We have an endless flow of love and happy that we have access to. The Spirit and Father are going, just tap in. It just needs your permission, they're saying, to tap into this constant flow of happy and then pull the trigger. Trust Father that you're going to be able to access as much happy as you need to include yourself. You're not going to run out of happy, loved ones. That's not how it works. His flow never goes dry. His well is abundant. So you are free to inject happy wherever you go and to make every moment a life-changing event. How great is that? You are free to be happy. It's your choice, though. And what are the rewards? Ooh, listen to this one. Number one, Satan and his team will burn off of you like vampires in light. When you come above the clouds, loved ones, when you overcome, Satan's not allowed up there. The light hits him and you're too hard. They're going to go and feed off the ones that are easier. They're going to try their hardest, but once you hit the light, you're off limits for them. And the more you burn off, the more and higher you go, the lighter, the brighter, and the higher you get to go. You're limited by your wings and your sludge and your anchors. You can only fly so high. So if the clouds are here, but your anchors are keeping you just below, there's no light for you. And this process, it becomes quicker and faster. The more you're like, I'm not in my happy, and you readjust. The quicker you go from to we, the faster all of this will happen. The quicker you will gain altitude because you didn't drop as much. That's the difference. The further you fall, the more G-force to pull out of it. But if you're at 4.2 and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I'm at 4.1, what just happened? That's not as much of a G-force to come out of, is it? And so your vibration will become so light. You will be so unattached, so free of 3D fear, worry, and doubt, anchors, all the stuff that makes you heavy, that you're going to be able to maintain an altitude of light. You'll be able to stay and rise above your clouds, above your storms. The clouds, they're your storms. They go away once you learn how to maintain that altitude. That's when happy becomes easy. Imagine happy being hard. It doesn't even sound like that's right. So why is it hard? We make it hard. So here's some signs that you are choosing 3D as a feeding source. Number one, you're sad. Number two, you don't know the path. Number three, you feel lost. You feel confused. You feel behind. That's another one. You feel behind. But you are. And number 4, you will not accurately, clearly, or effortlessly hear your messages from spirit. This is why when I hear loved ones who are in a fire and spirit's telling me this, I go, I don't know. How are you hearing spirit when you're going down? Spirit's not going to talk to you when you're going down. They don't reward bad behavior. Spirit says the inability to see or understand your life lessons is the result of limiting beliefs and the level of unhappy you feel while choosing to live within them. Ouch, right? I know. So in order to get numbers 1 through 4, so if you don't want to be sad, you want to be happy, you want to know the path, you want to feel like you know the way and you are clear, and you want to be able to accurately, clearly, and effortlessly hear messages from spirit. Number 1, you need to get happy first. You need to choose to change your vibration, your way of thinking. When you change your thinking, feeling follows. It doesn't happen the other way around. You have to change your thinking to change your feeling. Show signs of life. Then the way will be shown. It's not the other way around. It all starts with you choosing to be happy. You must change the altitude, rise, and then the way will be shown, the truth, the life, and the way. Because when you're going downhill, are you going to be shown the way? You're going to get confused thinking going down's the way. No. So, family, it's going to take a little bit of energy. But if you add humor, you're 50% of the way there. Imagine you pass as long as you're happy. Those are some pretty good odds, but it's going to require emotional and spiritual intelligence to pull yourself out of your tailspins, because loved ones, you're still in tailspins. If you're in 3D, you're in a tailspin. That's why your family, your responsibilities, that's not what's holding you back. You don't have to sacrifice your family. But in all the space of all that commitment, fill it with spirit. Fill it with divergence. Spirit says, fill it with equity glue. Equity glue. I like the sounds of that, because here's the thing about equity, loved ones. You got to remember, equity's 5D. Equity is meant to work with your legal side. It's meant to help you get out of where you are, including your 3D responsibilities. So if your world isn't working, you need more glue. You're out of balance. This is why it's not about balancing your world, balance you. And instead of trying to balance your worlds or keep them apart, get out of the way, let them smash together. The balls you don't need will drop. The ones that are important, you will see and rise them up. Because remember, loved ones, once we leave Egypt, it's all happy, regardless of your circumstances. Because you're going to be properly serving the right source, and source will serve you. This is why you're not allowed to leave Egypt if you are serving another master, or if you're feeding off your 3D unhappy. Spirit knows the difference of 3D happy versus real happy. Family, most of us have no idea what real happy is, just so you know. It's through the confines and the veil of our 3D worlds. We actually won't, Spirit is saying, fully understand happy until we access Father's world. But we know when we are a fake happy, we see that all over Facebook. Oh, look at me. Send me some energetic hits. Versus the ones that, I don't need that. I don't need compliments. I don't need cheerleaders. I know by how I feel. And that's a complete transition that happens with your happy. And this is why money can't buy you happiness, loved ones. How many times have you heard that? Because you can't buy happiness. You do happiness. Big difference. That's why happiness doesn't cost you anything. It's a choice. It's a decision. It's what you're meant to overcome. You're meant to overcome sad. That's Earth School. We came in losing. We came in sin. We came in depressed. We had the odds against us. Now try and be happy, Father says. That's it. That's was Satan's trick and why it worked so well. His whole unhappy, because too many were getting their happy feeds from 3D things, relationships included. It's not the natural order of things, loved ones. It's not going to work long term. Yeah, you get your hits. But I remember years ago when Spirit said the dysfunctional forms of feeding are now being soured. And that's why the things that used to bring you joy don't anymore. The people or the ways of being or the parties or the whatever it is that used to raise you up don't quite do it the way they used to anymore. There's not the endurance. It falls off quicker. And that's why equity is meant to integrate fully into your life, to lift you out of it. Equity is not a sacrifice or a compromise. It's a blessing. So if you feel equity in any shape, way, or form in your life is any kind of a thorn in your side, or it's taking away from you, wrong. You're confused. It's a blessing, and a blessing is a miracle. And your legal responsibilities are manageable when you bring equity and truth into it. Bring truth and equity into your world. Go to your 9 to 5, raise your children, plant your crops, do whatever it is that blows your hair back and puts food on the table. Just remove your fear and be happy about everything. And when these disturbances come up in your life, reach for your jar of happy. Sprinkle it on there. You might need to go and just actually pour it. Now, what does that mean when you have the ability to reach for a jar of happy? It means you have extra, you have excess. You have the ability to be able to access it at any time. And a shot of happy is poison to Satan. His darkness hates it. They're going to start staying clear of you because they don't want some happy sprinkled on them. Teach the dark that you do happy in everything you do, and they'll come nowhere near you. Teach the dark that you do happy in everything you do, and they'll come nowhere near you. And Darren spoke to this. The moment you ask for more happy, the flow starts. Your burdens are lifted. Sickness is removed. Doubt is eliminated. Your problems go away. It's a universal law, loved ones. Spirit will lighten your load in anticipation for what's coming. The more you ask for more burden, Spirit says, the moment your burden will be lightened. So let me give you an illustration because I had to understand, how does that work if you ask? Right? Because they said what happens is you let go of what you're currently holding and you're reaching for higher. When you reach for higher, where's your head? First of all, where's most of your attention and your effort going? Which means you dropped all this. And Spirit goes, if you want more, we'll take care of this. It's a natural order of things. They will make way for your more because you let go of your heavy. That's you letting go of your fears. Asking for more fears. Reaching for higher. And Spirit automatically carries you. We just didn't know this world. We weren't taught this. We need to remember. And Spirit says, when you are asking for more fear, it means you're not fearful. That's a requirement of overcoming. Bring it. Let's go. More. When you're in it, ask for more. Because there's a molting and a shedding that happens when you grow. When you ask for that, you grow and you get a new suit. You become greater than. Question is, when was your last skinning? When did you skin your last 3D? And do you fear molting, the expansion that comes with this ascension? And do you trust that you're going to be looked after while you're going through the worst of what you believe is required to grow? And loved ones, ask the butterfly how that process worked out for him. Can you imagine a butterfly refusing to change? Saying, you know what, Father, this is it. This is all I can do. Look, I'm uncomfortable, I'm tight, but it is what it is. I'm out. No, you can't stop is. It is what it is. You can't stop is, but was, that's not moving. That's the difference between evolving and extinction. Was is not is. So ask yourself, are you a life-changing event? Or are you an extinction event? That's what we're talking about. You're either growing or you're dying. That's what scripture spoke about. We're dying on the outside. What's going on in the inside? What's your spirit doing? It's either dying or it's growing. There's nothing in between. So notice, you are being judged on signs of life. That's what Spirit's looking for here. So imagine looking at Satan, your tribulations, your trials, everything holding you back and laughing, saying, come on, let's dance. Let's do this. Imagine looking at your problems and laughing, your fears, not even paying them any transaction of your energy. Spirit says laughing implies you know the truth. You've overcome the game. You know the way, and your life is your reward. And Spirit said, once you become alive and keep choosing the truth and the way, because you got to remember, Lot's wife who left, was it Sodom and Gomorrah? She was saved and then turned around. So this isn't just about, oh, I'm saved, Father's world forever. No, you need to keep choosing him. You need to keep focused on the truth. You need to know your way because you are always aligned to knowing what that is. And once you get there, Satan can't trick you anymore. You're in the light. You're above the clouds. You're in no Satan zone. And Satan can't feed off you when you're above the clouds. So who's in control or in troll now? You've just taken Satan's whole game away. So what purpose does he serve now for you? And the funniest part is that we've had the answer the whole time, loved ones. We just couldn't find it. We speak about you having the key because you do. And if you can't see the humor in that, well, you just need more miracles. And so remember, loved ones, you are not aspiring to being 3D workers, minions. You are aspiring to be miracle workers. Jesus spoke of this, about being and doing greater works than him. And so if you are not creating miracles, what are you? Or if you're sad while doing miracles, what are you? Trick question. Can you be sad and do miracles? No. No. So remember, when you're sad, I am incapable of miracles right now. Father cannot use me, and spirit is not able to access me because of my current velocity. So now what are you going to do about it? Because happy is mandatory for working miracles and for ascending. And so in summary, loved ones, here's what you need to know about the power of happy. Take this away with you. Change your shitty moments into life-changing events. Speak the truth and quickly, without thinking and without fear of income. And if you don't know the truth, if you don't know the way, sit down and wait until you do. Change your altitude until you make any decisions, until you're like, this is my truth. That sounds like 3.1 truth. No, thank you. Your truth, you won't be unhappy when you know the truth. That's when you know you found the truth. Exchange every moment with your greatest happy. Remove fear, find the humor in everything, loved ones. Charge, discharge, and repeat with Father at all times. Put everything in that you have in your battery into whatever you are doing. Pull the trigger. Pull the trigger it's not half. It's not a little, whoop. It's full on. When you think about a fire hose, open it up. Let your happy just rush through your being. Share it. Tell people what you're doing. Let them feel you're feeding. Because that's what you're doing. You're feeding others because they don't know how to. So it's okay. You're allowed to go in their lane. You're allowed to show them. But show them through your works. Let them notice going, wow, I feel really good around you. How come I just want to tell you all about my problems? Do that and spread your wisdom and your knowing through your happy. Because whenever you're unhappy, it's an indication you need some equity glue. You need more spirit. You need more divergence. You need more intent. And we want you to remember, from your place of intent, you don't leave. Operate and stay, open your intent up and stay in this. Because what happens is we go finish our meditations and then we go, and now I go on with, I'm going to leave. You actually leave your intent, they're saying. When you do your meditations, ask Spirit, keep me in this zone, please. Keep me connected to you so I may serve and be a source for others to bring in the love, the peace, the kindness, the joy, the happy. Teach me how to do this, Spirit. This is a new one for me. It's okay to say that. They'll go, thank you for asking. We've been so bored. They love bringing happy to you, family. But are you asking for happy? Are you staying in your miserable? And you're staying in your reality of what you think is, which isn't. It's a big game. All right. So, loved ones, as you know, we love feels reports. Your initial, what stood out for you? What's coming up, including your disturbances? We want to work you through this. This is old teachings with a new twist, upgraded. And for those who are on Elemental, you are also welcome to join our 2AC in their feels report, which has changed from 3 things to a 5-minute feels report on the class as a whole. And so with that, loved ones, thank you for joining us. This was some messages that couldn't come out quick enough. It came in so quick, and I lost the last 2 days just bringing this in, gaining clarity. And now we created a PDF for you so that you can print it off. You can let these teachings really sink in and go back over them and see how it changes, because as your altitude changes, you're going to be able to receive more messages. You gain greater insight, more wisdom, more layerings as you move up. And so with that, Thank you for joining us. We love you, and we'll see you next time.